Ronan, were there big times when you were getting making phone calls home to tell them that you've been selected for teams? Probably more the Lions than the Ireland World Cup squads.
Yeah, Lions 2001, most definitely. That was a huge moment. I remember it well, and it's different times, obviously, with technology and stuff. But I was touch and go. I was a bit of a rookie, even at 22. But it was, I think the process of becoming a professional rugby player was still a little bit different back then. So it was Neil Jenkins, Johnny Wilkinson going on that tour, and it was either Gregor Townsend or myself that was going to go, and I managed to get in ahead of them, which was a fair achievement at the time. So Don Lennon was the manager, so he actually went on to manage the Lions, as you know, and he was the Cork Constitution manager. So nothing better than a little bit of inner politics, and going and tipping me off at 11 o'clock Friday or the night of it. And I was living on the Model Farm Road, and we had a kind of a bungalow, and I drove out there because I just drove out there. My reaction was to drive out to my parents' house and knock on the window at 11:30 and give them the news. It's one of those great memories. Obviously, it's a very selfish memory, but that's, I suppose, what you need sometimes at that age. But I'll never forget it. It was just one of those things that really sticks with me to this day. And as you know, from playing for a long time, you don't remember the detail greatly of some games, but that was a great memory.
John Klein had that memory, or will have that memory this week. It'll be a little bit, I imagine, tampered by the negative reaction from so many people in Ireland. You're obviously very familiar with how Irish rugby works, but you're actually a little bit out of the bubble at the moment. So what's your take on what's happened this week?
Obviously it's been well documented at this stage. I found it strange, really, in the fact that I think the big, obviously, talking point is the fact that Devin Toner isn't going to the World Cup, but it so happens to be that Sean Klein is one of the 4 second rows that's going. But he's been playing for Munster for a number of years now, and it's the same when CJ's been there, Bundy Aki's been there. A lot of these have been well flagged. Do I agree with the fact that it's is it 3 years?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't think that's accurate. But from a coaching point of view, I can completely understand it. And these are the rules that World Rugby had made at the time. They've been altered. Probably would have liked to have seen it go to 7 years myself, but I think the reaction, I suppose, by people nowadays, Jerry, you're going to get every possible reaction. So I wouldn't be too fussed by it.
Quinn Rue has done. We'd talking about this during the week. We were talking about Quinn Rue, who kind of was just. It took away a little bit for him that there was a negative reaction when he ended up playing for it. Sean Klein needs to be a strong character now to be able to deal with this bit and just get on with the rugby. And we always say professionals.
I wasn't even aware of it too much. I kind of saw it more from the angle of the shock omission of Devin Toner, but I think for someone that's been so good for Ireland for such a long period of time, I think that one surprised me most definitely. But I also thought that I think that we can all see the influence of James Ryan and how much more he's become an essential figure, not alone of the forwards but of the team. So his responsibility has grown, and maybe that kind of has lessened Devin's role. But it's such an area of our specialist area and specialist knowledge that you're losing a lot of, I suppose, of intellectual property in terms of not having Devin in your squad. And I suppose from a hooker's point of view too, if you're looking in the middle of the line over and you have a banker ball and he's not there. But the other side of it is that they've looked at probably picking a more mobile team, and that's pitches in Japan will be harder, they'll be firmer, it's going to be a faster game, higher temperatures, and they feel maybe they have balance there without Devin.
there's been a lot of analysis of the selection that suggests Ireland are looking forward to a quarter-final against South Africa, and we've become a bit obsessed with the power game that they're going to play. Is everybody playing a power game in World Rugby? Has there been a surge that direction, or are we actually building a team here that will be able to do battle against South Africa or Wales or whoever it is that's playing a different type of game?
Yeah, well, I suppose it is very interesting at the minute. Sure, I wouldn't be looking beyond Scotland the way the form is at the minute. I think that's a crucial game, and you can see obviously it's a different team, Ireland and Twickenham, but it looked that they were nowhere near the pace of the game. The game at the weekend was good to a point, but it was also 22-3 up, and it finished up 22-17, which I don't think people in the camp will be particularly happy with. And this weekend is obviously a big game as well, but it's going to come down to all of a sudden now 4 warm-up games have bypassed, and few of our key players haven't got game time. Very hard in the World Cup to find form, to find your rhythm. If the opposition are obviously putting 4 years of work from their point of view, throwing that at you. So, that cycle of the World Cup is really fascinating for me in how do you get that right. 2007 didn't get it right. 2011, I think, yes. And the fact that win your 4 pool games, but then you don't get it right for the quarter-finals, which was Wales. Like, that was such an opportunity gone. You win 4 of your 5 games, 80% of your games, but you're going home, no good. 2015, you couldn't manage the emotional, I suppose, the emotional, what's the word I'm looking for? The emotional baggage of France, Argentina in a 7-day period. Couldn't come down from a big victory over France, an important, crucial thing. And then obviously injuries, but there was still 20 points of a difference between Argentina played Ireland that day. And this time, it is hard to say, but most definitely you can't say momentum is there.
Yeah. How that finding form, like we're very concerned about some of our key players who haven't had game time. You're talking about Sexton, you're talking about Keith Earls, you're talking about Henshaw, all making their first appearance of the pre-season in any meaningful way. Like, how do we actually make sure that those players do play some of their best stuff, and are you confident that they will?
Well, what I think this weekend is very important is obviously a warm-up game. Then September the 20th is the Scottish game, so you got to be looking at making a few building blocks in your performance this weekend, and then you need a few good weeks training. There's going to have to be a few internal games, I presume, from Ireland's point of view, because games are different. But the Scots will kind of come under the radar, and they'll throw everything at that first game, and it is a sticky game in the fact that you have Finn Russell at 10, who on a fast pitch is a little bit of a maverick. So you can do all the planning you want, but I'm not too sure he knows exactly what he will play and when he will play it, which makes Scotland a little bit more dangerous than a team like, I suppose, Wales with bigger at 10, if you can understand my logic.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get with Dan Bigger. You can watch video of it, and you can do analysis, and you can actually work out exactly what the style of play is going to be. Given the absolute shellacking that we took in the game at Twickenham, given the performance last week, what's your confidence level about how Ireland are going to perform at the World Cup?
I actually don't know, Ger, because I've been that player with the confidence, and that is such a key word in sport. Confidence, mindset is a little bit different, but like, it's very hard to actually express or I think deliver openly to people what happens when your confidence gets a belt. I think you get such a rattle from it that sometimes you have to be, from a performance point of view, in denial that it actually happened. But then when the moments of pressure come, that's when you realise in your own head, this is actually what happened us to last time. So from Ireland's point of view, it was the Aviva, and then a few months later it was Twickenham. Very different teams, obviously, but a comprehensive victory and then a more comprehensive annihilation in how the game was played. So from Ireland-England point of view, England most definitely have the jump mentally in Ireland at the minute, but from Ireland's point of view that doesn't really matter because they might only see them to the final. But from at this point of view, or from at this stage of their planning and what they're targeting, it comes down to Scotland, and I think people haven't even mentioned Japan. They're the home nation. They've beaten South Africa in the last World Cup, which I think I got it from Super Rugby and the understanding like there's so much of an influence of Southern Hemisphere rugby in the Japanese culture. So most of the coaches in Japan are from New Zealand. So from a rugby point of view, they have a lot of good ideas, and you can see now with the coaching team they have, it's been there for a number of years, and Tony Brown is a genius when it comes to creating attacking plays. So I think Japan will be difficult too, in the fact that they'll play a game that will challenge Ireland because of the speed at which they'll play it.
Like, specifically, what is that, Ronan? Just because the way you talk about it there, it kind of rings vague bells of the build-up to, say, Argentina in 2015, that even with all the injuries, we were kind of feeling to ourselves, we're better than this Argentina team. And then it was the style of play, it was the way they beat us, which was so shocking at the time.
Well, I think, the fact, too, that it happened so early in the game. The game was essentially over probably after 20 minutes, which is very rare in a knockout game. And I think from that point of view, I'm sure it's been addressed in camp, and it has nothing to do with the team that played 4 years ago. But I would say at the minute there's has to be a little bit of excitement, but also reality in the fact that for this game at the weekend, Ireland need to send out potentially their strongest team, and they need to, I suppose, probably have a look at three things they want to do really well as a team point of view, irrespective of whether they're still in a conditioning phase or not, which I presume will be tapered down the closer you get to the 20th of September. So the legs and bodies should be feeling really good now. They need the rugby to happen, and I can remember in 07, never felt better as an athlete, thought it was we all hit PBs in the gym, and felt that great buzz about the place. But a skill session in Poland, I can remember we did a lot of skill execution drills, and then it just kind of came to the transfer, and we couldn't transfer, and I wish I had better answers for you, but I don't.
It was more kind of in relation to the Japan prospect, actually, Ronan. The idea that Argentina came along and shocked us in that style of play. Is there a similarity here at all? Is what I'm asking.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the game was played pretty similarly from an attack point of view by a lot of teams. Obviously, the key outlier at the minute is how many times people are kicking the ball. So our people, kind of five ruck to 1 ratio in terms of, if you understand me, are they playing 5 to 10 rucks and then kicking it? A lot of like South Africa would be a lot less than that. They would play probably a 3 to 1 ratio where they'd have 3 rucks and they'd kick it because with Pollard and with their nines, they have an excellent kicking game, and that was Ireland up to these games. But Ireland has stopped kicking the ball, I suppose, from 9. Ireland, I felt, tactically from 10, didn't kick it as much as they potentially could have. So, I think the big thing is obviously line speed in defence and attacking kicks. That seems to be, for me, a trend, that there's a little bit of variety and what's the word? Non-conformity on.
Ronan, one last one for you. Pascal Jacob got in touch with us to say, how does Rog feel about Stockdale knocking him off the top 10 try scorer for Ireland list with his brace of the weekend?
I was proud as punch till I heard he had 20 games, I had 128 games.
You're joint 10th. You're just clinging on to that top 10 list there. Look.
Sure, I'm still on the front page. It's amazing. I'm very proud of my 16 tries. Don't ever mock that. That was, yeah. He had a big game at the weekend. That's a sign of a big, I suppose, of a strong-minded player. He was under the pump, no doubt about it, because, there was a lot of probably comment about his performance in England, and people were saying it was very harsh on him. I didn't think it was too harsh on him. I didn't think he was. I thought he missed the jump defensively, mentally, by 2 or 3 seconds on a few times, which exposed him. But people were saying it was on the inside. Yes, but it's on the inside. But if you watch the ball, you still have seconds to adapt, and he didn't adapt. But he came back really strong against Wales and put all those doubts, which is all you can ask of a young player. It was brilliant to watch.
No, good stuff, Ronan. Thanks a million for joining us this morning. Take care.
See you, lads. Thanks. Bye.
Ronan O'Gara with us this morning, talking about Seven Toner and all the rest of the stuff. Big target in the middle. Good for a hooker to be able to see.
The bullseye spot has got a lot smaller, I think it's fair to say.
It's definitely true, isn't it?